This is the AV Report, and I'm your host, Justin O'Connor. So let's dive right into it. I want to talk about display sizes. Last week in my video, I said, your display is too big. Is it? Maybe, but I don't think the question is really, is it too big, but is it bigger than it has to be? The larger a display, the further the distance viewing, and that's really what matters about the size of a display. And there are actually formulas to calculate this. They take the vertical height in number of pixels. So for 4K displays, that's 2160. And really it's the height that matters, although we talk about diagonals all the time. But the formula also includes the height of the font that's being used, and that's pretty open to a lot of discussion, so we're not going to go to that level. There's a higher level kind of finger in the air measurement for displays, and it's more or less 4 to 6 times the height is how far away you want somebody viewing. That's a really broad place to go, but it's pretty useful. And what I did was I looked at 4K commercial displays, and I looked at 55, 60, 65, 70, and 80-inch displays and their costs versus their distance, how far away somebody could be from watching it. And what I found that was kind of fascinating is that for each of those 5 inches, you get around a foot more distance viewing. That's not a whole lot. Obviously, if you jump from 55 to 70, you get quite a bit more. But to go from 55 to 60, anywhere in that 4 to 6 times ratio, your change in height your change in distance viewing isn't as dramatic as you would think. It ranges between a little less than a foot to a little more than a foot for each 5 inches you add to a display. So in the converse, you're only losing a foot of distance viewing for each 5 inches you remove on the diagonal from your display size. So what does it all really mean? Well, what it means is money. I was looking at commercial displays, 4K UHD displays, and there are cases where each of those 5 inches on the vertical, each step can cost you up to $1,500 on your display cost. So to go from a 55 to a 60, $1,500. To go from a 60 to a 65, $1,500, and so on. And the question then becomes, well, what could you do with that $1,500 if you don't need that extra display size? I know we all want to go bigger with displays, because why not just go bigger? And tiny note, if your display is too big, people close to it are actually losing all the benefit of your really nice resolution. We don't have time to dive into that. That's a whole other topic as well. Okay, so that $1,500 that you can save by not adding 5 inches to your display, by taking away that 5 inches that will only lose you a foot of long distance viewing, that $1,500 can be used probably in your audio budget. When we spend $15,000 on a table and we spend $10,000 on an interactive display or $6,000 on a non-interactive display or that sort of thing, that $1,500, what does that really buy us? Well, what does that do to your microphone budget, for example? Does that double, triple, quadruple your microphone budget? So I guess what I'm saying is this. Maybe your display size is fine. Maybe it is bigger than it needs to be and you're okay with that because all your other gear is budgeted well. But maybe that money on that display that you could save by bringing it down in size, maybe that money can be put to good use somewhere else. That's all I'm saying. Maybe take a look at that. Okay, let's have ourselves some news. Our first news story this week comes from Digital Signage Resolutions, DSR, and they have their new Designate full turnkey digital signage product announcement. So this is actually a range of media players that the range being how much service you add in on the front end. How turnkey is your digital signage solution with DSR? So you can actually go a full turnkey where they not only do you get the hardware, you get subscription service to their cloud, and they actually help create your in-house content with you. Full partnership. all the way out to delivery of the gear and the content itself. They have a middle tier where you buy their media players and subscription to their cloud, but then you have your own content. And then they have a solution where you can use any media player, Android or Windows media player, and they provide the delivery of your content. So they're just the cloud on that. But it's nice to see a digital signage solution where you can actually partner with somebody if your in-house capabilities for creating your own digital signage aren't as far along as you need them to be for what it is you want to do with digital signage. So they've partnered with Shuttle Computer and Zebo Software to deliver this. Again, it's Digital Signage Resolutions, DSR, and their new Designate turnkey digital signage solutions. Also in the news this week, Sonic Foundry has added a new device to their Mediasite group of lecture capture tools, and they call it the Mediasite RL Mini. And the idea is that this is just a little lecture capture box, and whoever is actually doing the lecture, the professor, the lecturer, they can just plug their laptop and camera right into it and just go. That's all they have to do. And then it's actually streamed directly to Mediasite video platform within the institution, or these could be more permanently set up and they can be automated, they can be scheduled. So Sonic Foundry has been doing these sorts of interesting things through their Mediasite platform for lecture capture. So they're announcing their Mediasite RL Mini, which is just a box for a laptop and a camera. You plug, you go, you do your lecture, everything's streamed directly to Mediasite, and you're done. So our next news story comes from AVnu. The AVnu Alliance is the organization that is responsible for having created the AVBTSN specifications and getting them IEEE ratified. And they have a new white paper out, and it's a paper of best practices, and it's called The Theory on TSN-Enabled Industrial Systems. So this is geared towards industrial applications for time-sensitive networking, and there are plenty, but the concept is machines that need to talk to machines with extreme synchronized precision and guaranteed bandwidth, and that's exactly right in the wheelhouse for time-sensitive networking, or AVB. So they have this white paper, and it doesn't apply directly to AV applications, but the more ground that AVBTSN continues to chart in the industrial sector, the more investment we'll see from switch manufacturers, chip makers, software makers, and that's all good for our side in the AV industry, because having an IEEE specification for audio and video over Ethernet is really important to us, and that's probably a bigger topic, but yes, this AVnu white paper is out and it's publicly available, so go check it out. Our final piece of news this week is the late-breaking news about AVIXA. So you've probably already seen this. Infocom is no more. It has become AVIXA. That stands for Audiovisual Integrated Experiences Association. So this is not just a rebadging of Infocom. Their press release, which you can find in many places, has 10 specific points. What they're really trying to do is broaden the organization, expand the organization in a logical way to include new technologies outside of just the audio-visual, and that's what the integrated experiences part is. And it's really, the way people interact with communication technologies. And they want to broaden also who the organization is supporting and representing. So instead of just manufacturers and integrators, they want to bring in more end-user types that are part of the organization, particularly this tech manager type role that has evolved in the industry. So they're broadening the scope of the industry. We'll do more analysis in a future video, but I think what I'm hoping to see is not just this broadening, but I think the integrator community needs deeper, renewed commitment from AVIXA, and I hope to see that. I hope to see more support for our integrator community. I think they're the lifeblood of this industry. So that's my really quick hit on AVIXA, and I'm sure there will be much discussion about it going forward. So thanks for joining me for another AV report. As I asked before, if you're enjoying what you're seeing from the AV report, it is a new entity. We need to get the word out. Please share. That's the one thing I ask of you. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, if you're finding this useful, please share it. Other than that, go see some live local music in your area, and I'll see you next week.